Welcome to Debate Combats, where tonight our motion is that major cities should let ride-hailing and emerging robotaxi firms self-govern surge pricing and safety standards instead of passing new city laws. The backdrop is simple. Cities need fast mobility, companies promise tech fixes, and voters hate price spikes and mystery rules. On the pro side, the men's team argues that in the next few months, self-governance can move faster than city councils and keep rides available when people actually need them. On the con side, the women's team argues that public rules, not private playbooks, are how cities keep prices fair and streets safe. Each side will field two speakers to lay out a tight case with facts, logic, and a little sting. Pro team, you have the floor for your opening case.
Thank you. The core of our case is that flexible self-governance preserves supply when demand surges, and that keeps cities moving rather than stranded. City lawmaking is slow and often months behind the technology curve, but product rules can update in days, which matters when holiday crowds or transit strikes hit. If you cap prices by statute in real time, drivers and robotaxis vanish to other tasks, queues grow, and people pay with wasted hours instead of a few extra dollars. Self-governed surge with published formulas and real-time dashboards can be transparent and predictable, so riders know the why and the when. We also get rapid safety iteration, because firms can patch software, retrain models, and push updates tonight rather than waiting for a hearing next season. Let cities set outcomes like zero fatalities and data disclosure, but let companies decide the engineering path, because the fastest safe path wins lives and minutes.
Here's the human piece. When a storm hits at midnight, people need a ride now, and supply follows incentives now rather than after a committee meeting. A pilot city that allows self-governed surge with caps tied to travel time and fleet availability can see wait times fall without banning low-income riders from the market. Safety rules can include instant suspensions from shared blacklists, mandatory camera logs, and automatic road hazard flags, and those can be updated weekly. We can require independent audits and publish near-miss reports in plain English, so self-governance does not mean self-secrecy.
Think of it like internet protocols. Governments set the goals of access and security, but innovation at the edge gives us speed and reliability. If we freeze progress into law too early, we lock in today's blind spots and yesterday's tools, which is the opposite of safety.
Surge pricing is not a moral failing, it is a traffic signal for cars instead of lights. And turning it off during rush hour causes crashes of a different kind. With clear disclosures, rider spending limits, and off-peak discounts, self-governance can be both sharp and fair.
Our proposal is outcomes first and methods flexible, so riders get availability, cities get data, and safety improves at the speed of software. For these reasons, major cities should choose agile self-governance over blanket new laws in the months ahead.
Thank you, Pro-Con team. The microphone is yours for your opening case.
We oppose because when private interests write the rules, the public ends up paying twice, once at checkout and again when safety gaps hit the news. Price signals may be elegant in a textbook, but in a blackout or a blizzard they become a tax on fear, and fear is a terrible regulator. Cities are not app stores, they are communities with duties, and the duty is to set clear ceilings, floors and consequences that apply to everyone. Self-governed safety has a built-in conflict of interest, since the same dashboard that boosts utilization can mute ugly near misses. Democratic rulemaking is slower by design, because it invites nurses, students, and drivers to speak, and that friction is called accountability.
Let us talk impact on ordinary wallets. If a parent has to pay triple to reach a night shift, that is not flexibility, that is exclusion by price. Transparent city rules can require affordable alternatives like pooled rides, capped emergency rates, and automatic refunds for extreme detours. Safety should be legible to the public, with uniform standards for cameras, data retention, and crash response that every operator must meet. Independent inspectors, not private auditors, should test robotaxis on tricky streets, because neighborhoods are not beta labs.
When companies say they can update faster than councils, they are right, which is exactly why public guardrails must come first. We can invite innovation through city sandboxes with sunset clauses, but the default must be law, not a promise.
If a system is safe, it can pass the same test as everyone else. And if a price is fair, it can survive the light of day in a public hearing. We want speed too, so write simple rules now, like surge caps tied to median income and mandatory open safety data, and iterate in public.
Self-governance is not evil, it is simply not enough when lives, streets, and paychecks are at stake. Therefore, cities should govern prices and safety with law first, and invite industry to help, not to substitute for the public voice.
Pro team, the floor returns to you, and please drive your point with precision and punch.
Look, when cities freeze dynamic tools, riders pay with time, and time is the most regressive tax of all. Every extra minute in a queue is lost study, lost childcare, or lost wages, which no subsidy can refund. Self-governance lets firms tune surge like a thermostat, responsive, visible, and reversible the second reality changes. If a bridge closes or a concert ends, a living system can shift in seconds, while statute moves at the speed of paperwork. We want cities to set clear outcome beacons, yet let engineers pick the fastest safe route to those beacons. That is not deregulation, that is iterative regulation, and iteration is what saves nights, jobs, and sometimes lives.
Con team, you may answer, and keep it tight.
Precision and punch are fine, but without public teeth, dashboards become mirrors that flatter the owner. A thermostat set by the seller of heat invites abuse, and families cannot bargain with a blizzard or a blackout. Public rules are seatbelts for markets, simple, universal, and boring in the best possible way.
Con team, proceed to your attack.
Your living system surges prices when fear surges demand, which means the hungriest pay the most when they can least afford it. You promise transparency, but a pretty graph does not change a drained bank account, and refunds come after the night shift is already lost. If speed is your value, fine, then pass fast laws that cap extremes and publish safety data daily, because sunlight is quicker than a private memo.
Pro team, your rebuttal. One speaker.
Caps sound merciful, yet they amputate supply, so the cap becomes a trap, and the trap closes on the very riders you claim to protect. With open formulas, opt-in spending limits and instant rider alerts, we can blunt spikes without blunting availability. A queue is not compassion, a ride is, and rides require incentives that breathe with the city.
Con team, we return to you for a two-speaker attack, leader then supporter.
First, safety, because code fails. Sensors fog and corner cases multiply at school crossings, not in lab demos.
Support here. Public standards create a common yardstick, so we can compare operators without decoding their marketing.
Second, price fairness. Since mobility is access to work and care, therefore it sits near the core of city rights and duties.
Support again. City-run sandboxes with fixed guardrails can speed trials while protecting people who did not volunteer to be testers.
Third, accountability. Because when harm happens, we need a public chain of responsibility, not a help page and a ticket number.
And to land it, write law first and iterate publicly, since public drafts welcome critics that private dashboards quietly mute.
Thank you, Con time. Passing control to Pro for a two-speaker attack, leader then supporter.
Leader here. Availability is equity, because a car that arrives at midnight is more inclusive than a cap that never calls one.
Support here. Algorithmic surge can be bound by disclosed coefficients, published in plain English, and audited by independent firms.
Dynamic pricing is a bridge between empty seats and urgent needs, and bridges must flex or they crack.
We combine safety with live telematics, automatic geofence slow zones, and auto-extraction of near misses into public reports.
If law hard codes today's sensors, tomorrow's safer stack gets delayed by yesterday's paragraph.
Outcome targets like 0 serious injuries and 99% availability during emergencies keep ambition high without freezing methods.
Time on Pro, Con may present a two-speaker defense, answer first, then reverse question and provocation.
Answering first, your outcomes without tools are slogans, so name the non-negotiables, and we will name ours, with caps, audits, and public inspectors.
Reverse question, if your transparency is real, will you post raw near-miss footage with location and timestamp by default, or only when it flatters you?
We defend the duty of cities to say no when an experiment spills risk onto streets that never consented.
Provocation, if surge is so fair, why do you hide the price ceiling until the very moment a rider is cornered on a dark curb?
Back to Pro for a two-speaker defense, answer role and weakness pointer.
Answering yes to default disclosure, yes to open formulas, and yes to third-party safety audits that publish, not summarize.
Weakness pointer. A flat cap during emergencies is the hidden cruelty because it converts a line of cars into a line of cancellations.
We accept simple city outcomes, we reject one-size-fits-none mandates that stall upgrades and stall people.
Name the weakness in our plan, and it is trust, which is why we bind ourselves to external audits and automatic penalties that trigger without permission.
Judges, a mid-round pulse check please. State your leaning, one strength of that side, one weakness of the other, and encourage both.
Leaning pro for now, because their outcomes first model could speed safety upgrades, while con underplayed the cost of wait times on workers. Encouragement to pro, spell out automatic penalties in detail, and to con quantify how a cap avoids the cancellation spiral you worry about.
Leaning con at this moment because public rules promise equal footing, while pro's trust story still feels thin at the curb. Encouragement to con, keep your fairness lens crisp. And to pro, ground your transparency promises in examples that a parent can check on a phone.
I am truly split, pro has speed, con has legitimacy, and both matter when streets meet software. My advice, pro should show how your audits bite, and con should show how your rules will not freeze progress when lives could improve.
We enter round 2, new angles welcome, and we open with con for an attack.
New angle, data ownership. Because safety comes from shared learning, yet firms hoard lessons like trade secrets. Law can require open near-miss databases across operators, so one firm's close call becomes everyone's future save. Without that, we relearn the same painful lesson on different corners, which is wasteful and cruel.
Pro, your defense, one speaker.
We accept shared learning and propose privacy-safe pooling with automatic uploads to a public repository, scrubbed of faces and addresses. Let uploads be enforced by key performance bonds, lost if uploads lag so incentives align with the public good.
Pro, continue with a single speaker attack.
Cities should allow flexible micro-rules inside outcome guardrails, so operators compete on safety innovations, not lobbying talent. When methods compete, the city learns which tricks cut risk the fastest, and those spread by example, not by decree. That is how aviation improved checklists, not by one law, but by many small proofs under shared outcomes.
Con, one speaker defense.
Shared outcomes without shared floors invite a race to the most tolerant interpretation, which history shows ends badly. Set floors first, like uniform safety drivers in early phases and hard caps on emergency surges. Then let innovation climb above them.
Pro, two speaker attack, leader, then supporter.
Leader, emergency elasticity saves lives because a hospital run cannot wait for a committee to notice a spike.
Support, we can confine rare extreme surges to verified emergencies, with pre-declared rules and independent alerts.
Leader, when the city prescribes methods, citizens inherit yesterday's tech, and that quiet tax repeats nightly.
Support, we publish live uptime, median weight, and near-miss counts per borough, so the public can judge, not just hope.
Con, two speaker attack, leader then supporter.
Leader, labor, because behind each ride sits a worker or a maintainer whose safety and pace swing with your dials.
Support, city wage floors, rest rules and maintenance audits must be law, not policy that changes after a quarterly call.
Leader, a fair city is navigated with confidence, not with a calculator and a fear of what the next corner will cost.
Support, distributive justice is not a luxury, it is infrastructure, like streetlights and crossings that work for everyone.
Pro, your turn to defend. Two speakers, answer then reverse question and provocation.
Answering, we endorse wage floors and rest rules as city outcomes, and we will implement them with automatic lockouts and pay guarantees.
Reverse question, Will you commit to publishing the wait time you create when caps bind, so the public sees both sides of the ledger?
We will also publish service maps for low-income areas, so scarcity cannot hide behind averages.
Provocation. If your rules are right-sized, why do your proposals read like a complete operator handbook before a single pilot learns anything?
Con. Your defense. 2 speakers. Answer and weakness pointer.
Answering yes to wait time dashboards and yes to service equity maps delivered by the city to avoid selective reporting.
Weakness pointer. Your audits bite only if penalties are automatic and large, otherwise they are press releases with badges.
Answering further, we accept phased flexibility, yet only after floors are in place and tested on the hardest streets first.
Weakness pointer again. Your emergency surge exception is a loophole if emergencies are defined by the operator, not by an independent trigger.
Pro team, brief pass to you for focused clarifications.
We accept independent emergency triggers, sourced from weather, transit and city alerts, bound to pre-declared surge brackets. We also accept bond-backed penalties that automatically pay into a mobility equity fund when audits fail or uploads lag.
Con team, a brief clarifying response.
With independent triggers and bond-backed penalties, we are closer, yet the final hinge is the price floor for dignity and the ceiling for panic.
Pro team, one more targeted attack before we widen again.
If dignity is the goal, availability is the method, because a never-arriving ride respects no one. Let the city set a maximum acceptable wait, and let us shape prices to hit it, with full disclosure and refunds when we miss.
Con team, one speaker defense on that metric idea.
A weight metric is helpful, but price fairness must sit beside it, so we pair weight targets with income-adjusted caps and pooled ride guarantees.
We now expand with fresh voices. Pro, new speaker for an attack.
Consider disaster response, where we can pre-stage fleets guided by live risk models, something statute cannot choreograph in real time. In those hours, adaptive rules are mercy because they move cars, medics, and food faster than any hearing could.
Con, match that with a single speaker defense.
Disaster mercy should not bill survivors extra, which is why emergency caps and public coordination sit above private incentive maps. In chaos, simple public rules beat elegant private tweaks, because clarity saves seconds, and seconds save people.
Pro, a 2-speaker attack to close this segment, leader then supporter.
Leader, our model treats the city as a network with nodes under stress, and agile pricing is the pressure valve that keeps the network intact.
Support. We can publish audit trails for every price change, with the exact trigger, duration, and effect on weight and availability.
Leader, give us outcomes and penalties, and we will give you speed and proof, which is the trade modern cities deserve.
Support. We will also pilot income-sensitive credits that auto-apply at checkout, funded by our bond penalties and city grants.
Con, 2-speaker attack to respond in kind, leader then supporter.
Leader, your credits concede the fairness gap, which means the gap exists, and gaps at scale become walls in practice.
Support. The cleaner answer is to set fare bands up front, so people are not rescued by coupons they never knew existed.
Leader, safety first means independent road tests on rain-slicked nights and at confusing junctions, with pass or fail, not vibes.
Support. If a robotaxi cannot pass a public stress test, it does not belong on public roads outside of strictly supervised pilots.
Pro, 2-speaker defense. Answer then reverse question and provocation.
Answering. Public stress tests are fine, and we ask that they be updated quarterly, so tests evolve with streets and tech.
Reverse question. Will you accept retiring rules that data proves obsolete, even if they were popular when written?
We also accept city-held keys that can throttle or pause fleets during verified emergencies, invoked by a clear protocol.
Provocation. If your caps persist after data shows longer waits and more cancellations, will you publish who bears those costs?
Con, 2-speaker defense. Answer and weakness pointer.
Answering yes to retiring obsolete rules, with public hearings that start from the new evidence, not from pride.
Weakness pointer. Your pause keys concede that private control can overrun public safety, which is why law, not policy, must lead.
Answering further, we accept quarterly test updates, but the pass bar must rise, not drift with vendor convenience.
Weakness pointer again. Audits you fund can bite, yet only if the city can replace them on conflict and publish the full findings by default.
Judges, a second pulse would be premature, so we will hold until closing, and for now both teams keep the tempo and bring fresh specifics. Before we sprint to the finish, are there fresh angles or final loose ends either side needs to put on the table?
Yes, we want to surface a concrete penalty ladder tied to missed safety uploads, missed weight targets, and mispriced emergencies.
We want to surface baseline rights for riders, like clear price bans, plane refunds, and city hotlines that act within minutes.
Then let us open a free exchange, keep it fierce but within the lines, and we will alternate by turns.
Price bands feel tidy until a concert ends and the tidy cap becomes the untidy line that wraps around the block.
Lines are visible and can be managed with shuttles and pooling, while invisible gouging breaks trust in the first tap.
Gouging implies malice, yet a simple formula linked to fleet scarcity is math, not malice, and math delivers cars when people need them.
Math without floors becomes a tax on fear, and cities must smooth fear with rules that hold during storms and power cuts.
Set the outcome floors and we will meet them, but do not prescribe the exact bolt and wire, because bolts age and wires change.
Public streets deserve public standards that evolve, yet they must start from rights and guardrails, not from brand promises.
We propose rights too, like auto-applied credits for low-income riders and refunds when the model misses its own weight goals.
Credits are a patch that many never see, while fare caps are a door that everyone can open, even at midnight.
A midnight door that never opens is not a door, and flexibility is the hinge that keeps it moving through the night.
A hinge without a lock invites misuse, so the city must hold the key and must set the hours when the door can swing wider.
Give the city the kill switch for real emergencies with third-party triggers, and let the market breathe in the rest of life.
We accept independent triggers and kill switches, but we also need uniform camera rules, data retention rules, and street test rules in plain words.
Uniform outcomes are fine, yet uniform methods kill invention, and invention is the engine of safer streets tomorrow.
Tomorrow is paid for by families today, and if your invention raises a bill that a nurse cannot pay, the bill is too high.
Then pair invention with income-sensitive discounts that apply invisibly at checkout so no one is asked to beg for a fair fare.
Invisible help is still invisible, and public legitimacy comes from rules people can see, recite, and rely on when their battery is at 2%.
What people need at 2% is a ride, and rides come from incentives that get wheels to curbs in minutes, not from slogans.
Slogans do not keep buses safe and bridges sound, and neither do dashboards without law, because dashboards do not prosecute liars.
Our plan does not ask for trust alone. It binds us to bonds, audits, and automatic fines that fund mobility equity.
Bonds are good, but fines after harm are not the same as rules before harm, and prevention sits higher than cure in any sane city.
Prevention improves fastest when people who ship code can ship fixes nightly. And that tempo is not a luxury, it is a seatbelt of its own.
Ship fixes nightly under public floors, and the night will be safer, but ship policy nightly, and the night will be lawless.
Policy nightly is not our ask, outcomes nightly is, with public dashboards that show weight, price, and near misses in one glance.
One glance is welcome, yet the city must own the data pipe, or your one glance becomes a curated selfie in a flattering light.
Let the city own the pipe and the keys, and let operators compete on how fast they reduce misses and weights under those lights.
Under that compromise, we still ask for surge ceilings during disasters, and for standard map of equity zones where prices cannot spike.
We accept disaster ceilings under third-party triggers and equity zones with credits that equalize out-of-pocket costs.
Ceilings and credits together can still confuse, so publish a single, simple promise that riders can learn and teach each other.
The promise can be this: during emergencies you pay normal rates or a posted modest uplift, and in equity zones you never pay beyond a fair band.
Add this: audited by the city, not by the firm, and updated on a reliable schedule, not when the marketing team is ready.
Add penalty bonds that auto-pay when the promise breaks, and the promise becomes more than text on a splash screen.
Add public stress tests on rain, glare, and odd junctions, and do not ship beyond pilots until the public scoreboard shows green.
Add that we will post every test run with pass or fail, and we will reroute or slow in any zone the scoreboard flags as red.
Then add a rider dignity rule that bars bait prices, surprise detours, and silent cancellations, with instant refunds and penalties that sting.
We will codify those dignity rules in our self-governance charter, and we will accept the city as the notary and the enforcer.
Make that charter binding across operators, and cities may bend, but they should not break the principle that law leads policy.
Law can lead on goals, enforcement, and transparency, while policy can lead on tools. And that split is the bridge we have drawn all night.
We still see the risk that tools shape goals in the shadows, which is why our side wants non-negotiable floors that do not move for quarterly targets.
Set the floors, set the lights, take the keys, and let the system iterate under watch. Because stasis kills mobility more quietly than any surge.
Stasis is not our aim, fairness is, and fairness without power is a poster, not a policy.
Hold there, that exchange had heat and light, and now we move to final statements. Pro team first with 2 voices, one to sort facts and one to speak to the judges.
Here are the facts as they stand. Dynamic pricing and rapid safety updates increase availability in peaks. Public ownership of data pipes and independent triggers can temper extremes. Bonds and automatic fines can make promises real. And outcome targets with city dashboards keep the pressure on performance.
Judges, we offer speed under supervision, with city keys, city pipes, disaster caps, equity protections, audits that publish, and penalties that pay, which means you can get faster safety and fairer access without handcuffing methods that might save minutes and lives next month.
Con team, your final statements, again 2 voices, one for a clean row of facts and one to speak to the judges.
Here are our facts. Mobility is a right shaped by price and safety. Self-policing has conflicts the history reveals. Democratic rules create flaws that protect the vulnerable. And public tests, caps and inspections are not enemies of progress, but guides that prevent harm before a press release is needed.
Judges, we offer legitimacy with clarity, simple caps in emergencies, uniform safety floors, public ownership of data, and a fast but public path to update rules, so the next innovation lands on streets that are ready and on wallets that are respected.
Judges, please give your evaluations with praise for both sides and your verdict in order.
Both teams built a workable hybrid. Pro gave us speed with credible safeguards, and Con kept the compass set on rights and clarity. And my verdict goes to Pro, because their model pushes measurable availability gains while accepting city ownership of the levers that matter.
I applaud the rigor on metrics and the growth in common ground, yet my verdict goes to Con, because public floors and public tests should come first, and I believe their plan protects low-income riders and workers with fewer loopholes.
Both sides argued with craft and conscience, and I cast my deciding vote for Pro because their outcome-first framework, paired with bonds, city keys and independent triggers, seems most likely to deliver safer streets faster without losing accountability.
By a 2-to-1 decision, tonight's winner is the Pro team. Congratulations on a hard-fought and thoughtful case.
Thank you to our counterparts for sharpening us, and to the judges for demanding specifics, because details are where real safety lives.
We will take this win as a promise to make transparency plain, penalties automatic, and availability a metric that every rider can watch and trust.
We congratulate the winners, and we will keep fighting for rules that people can understand in a blackout and defend in daylight.
We learned where compromises can live, and we will keep pushing for clean floors and clear ceilings that leave no rider behind.
My thanks to both teams for the fire and the respect, and to our judges for sharp eyes and steady hands. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us to the end. Your time and attention power this arena. If you enjoyed the clash, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your take or your own motion for next time. If you want to support Debate Combats, tap the QR code in the lower right or follow the donation link in the description. You will also find links in the description to very different series we run, and I think you will love exploring those as well. Until next time, be curious, be kind, and come back for the next battle of ideas.